Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central TV. It's time for News Now. I am Judith Atibi. The top stories at this hour. Vice President Kashim Shettima summons Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and Group Managing Director of NNPCL over petrol price hike. Elder statesman Edwin calls for arrest of FCT Minister Nyesom Wike over threat to set fire to states governed by PDP governors. Burkina Faso drops ECOWAS logo from new passport. We'll bring you details shortly. The Vice President of Nigeria, Vice President Kashim Shettima, has summoned the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokpokpiri, and Group Managing Director of Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mele Kyari. Also summoned on Thursday at the Presidential Villa is the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Rubadu, over the recent hike in the price of premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol. Fuel crisis that has lingered for 2 months worsened on Thursday following the price hike. Several filling stations seized the opportunity to extort customers who were in dire need of the product for their vehicles, power generators and other machines. Still on the price hike, the recent surge in petrol prices by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has sparked mixed reactions among residents of Warri and other parts of Delta State in Nigeria's south-south region. Many tricycle operators, including women and youths, took to the streets in a peaceful protest over the increase in petrol price as they called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene. Petrol was sold in Warri and its environs for between 580 naira and 950 naira per litre, but the price has now escalated to 1,400 naira.
Because I will not buy fuel for 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 and carry you at the rate of 100 naira or 200 naira. It's somehow, if I tell you to pay for maybe 500 naira from energy estate, you will not be able to pay. Because one, maybe there's no company you are working for me, you are just trying to meet up with SMIT with your utility also. So the financial stability is no way to, it's not accountable for anything. Fuel not be played. We pay community fee for every loading. It's not easy for we. PIO go collect their own. Police go collect their own. Everybody go collect for ticket head. Ticket go collect for head. Waiting bus. Everything. Our family is not easy. The thing is not easy for us at all. What we want, make them bring the fuel down to the usual state as it is at 200 or 180. Make them bring the fuel down because the thing you all at the talk, so the thing that affect every year.
And now to political matters. The leader of the Ijaw Nation, Edwin, has called or asked the Inspector General of Police, Kaide Egbetokun, to arrest the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, over his threat to set fire to states governed by governors from the People's Democratic Party. Wike had on Saturday, while speaking at the PDP Secretariat in Port Harcourt, the state capital, during the party's state congress, warned the PDP governors to stay clear of the party's affairs in Rivers. In a press conference on Thursday, Clark said the words of the minister marked a flagrant disrespect to the person of President Bola Tinubu, describing his comments as unbridled, and added that his comments were a form of treason.
To the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun. My dear IGP, arrest Nyesom Wike now with a warrant of arrest. I want to begin by saluting your continued service of our country and that of the very many gallant officers of the Nigerian Police Force who daily stay awake to keep our nation safe. However, I want to add my voice to that of millions of Nigerians who are incensed at some recent development in the polity, which require your urgent attention. That is, with respect to the recent open threat by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, who happens to be the former governor of Rivers State, to set fire in some other states. As your men who were in the audience would have reported directly to you, Nyesom Wike made this open threat to other 12 PDP governors while attending a called Bad Congress of the PDP in Port Harcourt on Saturday, 31st August 2024. There is a High Court ruling in Port Harcourt in suit number PAC/2282/CS 2024 against that exercise. Instead of vacating that ruling through an appeal, Nyesom Wike's group went to another court of coordinate jurisdiction in Abuja and got a ruling to hold the Congress. This is a completely wrong court process. I should not be allowed to stand. For as long as the first court ruling is persisting, the PDP Congress held by Wike and his men remain a nullity.
The Labour Party has been plunged into further turmoil as the Julius Abure-led faction disowned the newly appointed caretaker chairman Ninadi Usman. Now, despite a previous Court of Appeal judgment affirming Abure as national chairman, the Labour Party National Convention constituted a caretaker committee, sparking controversy. Earlier, Senator Usman was declared as the chairman of a 29-member national caretaker committee of the Labour Party. Now, reacting to the Abure-led faction rejected the caretaker committee, insisting that Abure remains the legitimate national chairman. A statement signed by the National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, described Ninadi Usman's appointment as illegal and unconstitutional.
Party. The Working Committee also notes that assuming, without conceding, that the tenure of the current National Working Committee has even expired, we must state clearly that it is not the responsibility of Dr. Alex Oti as governor of Abia State to convene a NEC meeting for the purposes of setting up a caretaker committee. It is still the responsibility of the national chairman and the national secretary of the party to convene such a meeting. He will not hesitate henceforth to discipline any member of the party, however highly placed, who is not ready to obey the constitution of the party and indeed obey the lawful directive of the leadership of the party. In this regard, the National Working Committee went ahead to set up a standing disciplinary committee. Consequently, it is our view that for anybody to hold the opinion that there is a vacuum in the leadership of the party is not only mischievous, but a deliberate attempt to cause panic, to cause chaos, and to disrupt the smooth workings of our great party, the Labour Party.
Now, to react to the leadership crisis in Labour Party, we're joined by the factional publicity secretary, Abayomi Arabambi. Welcome to the show. Let's get started very quickly. This news, one has to ask, how might the disowning of the new caretaker chairman by Julius Abure-led executives impact the internal dynamics of the Labour Party, including party cohesion and decision-making processes? I mean, listening to the soundbite there from Julius Abure, one has to ask this question.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Nigerians, and thank you for having me. We need to make something very, very clear to Nigerians that the issue of factionalization in Labour Party has actually come to an end with the judgment of the Court of Appeal that affirmed Abure as the national chairman of Labour Party. Ab initio, Governor Oti and Peter Obi, they were not part of the people in Labour Party that took this matter to court. We were the one that restrained Abure. And now that the Court of Appeal has set it aside, we have to obey it and wait, for judgment of the Supreme Court, which we are also the only one that make the appeal. They are not a party to it. But be that is me, it's quite unfortunate for what happened in Abia State yesterday. It is just an association of people that have reached their political menopause. They have no more productivity with respect to political productivity. It is over. And though they are spent forces, we only manage to think whether they can be revived in a party board. The Papa Disi Peking attitude in all of them has actually realized ugly yesterday, where unconstitutionally a governor consider himself as the national chairman because he's elected. I don't know where they got that constitution from. But our party constitution says the national chairman shall provide leadership for the party and national secretary. When you want to call a meeting, it be also the national secretary in consultation and approval of national chairman to issue notices of National Working Committee, National Executive Council, and National Convention. And do not also forget that the Supreme Court has said parties, members of group parties must obey their own constitution. Your constitution, the Constitutional Labour Party, that all of them are brandishing yesterday, they don't seem to understand because they are just, certain people that fell like grief in PDP and came to Labour Party. Now, to Nene Usman, they are trying to build something on nothing. Because this was a woman who was, as the last count, the finance director of Jonathan Campaign Organization, upon which, as we speak today, he have over 7 billion naira issue with EFCC, on which he was even docked. They are not seeing that now. But you see these people, when EFCC rearrange her now, they will be shouting all lies on the judiciary, forgetting that infraction had been committed ever before they brought her into Labour Party. Those are some of the problems we have with Peter Obi. When you are not consistent, you are just going to be muddying issue upon issue. Now, if you don't have constitutional rights over something, why are you doing it? Our constitution is very clear. The neck of our party excluded all members of the National Assembly and all members of the State Assembly. Do you know what? It's not our own making. It was the making of Adwai Doma in 2009 to 2010. It was his making. I remember when Mimiko was asking them, why can't we amend our constitution to accommodate our National Assembly member? They are worried that time was they will hijack the party. So they were the ones that left that constitution in that manner that excluded all the people that that arranged themselves there in that stakeholder meeting and the stroke neck. They don't have that power because when you are excluded from the National Executive Council of your party, you have no business attending such a meeting to say you now want to organize World Congress, local government Congress. Who gave you that power? Where is the locals?
Okay,
where is the locals of Peter Obi and Governor Alessoti? So now sit as chairman and secretary of our party and now be dishing out instruction.
All right, Abayomi, can you hear me? So
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Now, if you look at the reaction of this new committee that has now been, sworn in following the convention that they have at Umuahia, the reaction on social media with faithfuls of the Labour Party and those who are supporters of the Labour Party, it seems that they are in support of this new chairmanship or this new committee, and they also have the same leaning towards saying that Abure has done his time, it's done. So I have to ask, with the upcoming elections, 2027 years away, but still preparations start now, both in terms of voter perception and party organization, how does this look for the electorate?
As far as we are concerned, we thank God that this issue commences now, so that we will now be able to reset our party. When I say we are going to reset the party, most of these, characters in Labour Party. Most of those people, on the social media, they did it. They won the election via the social media during the 2023 general election. They were the one that won the election, even when they did not have a single resource sheet, at the tribunal. We know them. All of them are from PDP. They are just people that want to hijack our party, thinking we don't know what we are doing, or we are just small fry in the political circle. Nigeria should note two things in Labour Party. Wherever you see Peter Obi, wherever you see Governor Soti, run. That is not Labour Party.
Abayomi, I have to ask you. You just made a statement about the PDP, and you're saying that those persons are members of the PDP. They are covert members of the PDP. Are you saying that the presidential candidates, your former presidential candidate, your former vice presidential candidate, the Abia State governor, plus the Lagos, the former gubernatorial candidate for Lagos State, all those persons who were who were assembled at Umuahia, Abia State, are covert members of PDP?
I repeat, Nene Usman was not a registered member of Labour Party as we speak now. And yet, they knew what they were doing. They were only trying to rearrange themselves back to PDP, thinking we can be decimated. As I speak, all of them, including Alessoti, they did primary. It's only Obi that didn't do primary. Alessoti, even Darlington, failed the PDP primary before he ran to Labour Party. So they are going back to their vomit. That's what they are doing. They are not a member. They came on loan. They said that even the obedient, Peter Obi told Nigeria, the obedient doesn't belong to Labour Party. It belongs to PDP. We have millions of Obi. We have millions of Governor Alessoti. We don't need them to rebrand our party. They came. Are you getting me? They came to use the good image of our party to become governor. Alessoti tried governorship 4 times. He failed in APC, he failed in APGA, he failed in PDP, and out his way. And they've now said, oh, this is an opportunity. Let us grab, let us snatch, let us run with Labour Party. It's not going to be possible. For now, Abure remains the national chairman of our party. Apapa remains deputy national chairman. And I'll tell you why. Whenever a court of competent jurisdiction deliver a ruling, I think it's better we respect it.
Abayomi, you just said that the national chairman is Abure and Apapa. Is that what you just said?
Apapa remains deputy national chairman by the, decision of the Court of Appeal. Okay.
And then Abure remains the national chairman.
Abure remains national chairman. Farouk remains our national secretary. And Apapa has told Nigerians that he has reverted back to status quo because we are not abiding, Nigerians. We are not like them that disrespected, that disobey the judgment of the SPTI. We are not like them. And we are not like them that disobey the judgment of the Court of Appeal. How do you explain someone in the capacity of Governor Alessoti, someone in the capacity of Peter Obi, for you to bluntly disobey judgment of the Court of Appeal in Nigeria? Judgment of the Court of Appeal in Nigeria is so unfortunate. And those are people that want to govern Nigeria. Nigeria should watch them now. When to see them, run.
Okay, Abayomi, I have to cut this conversation and let you go, but you've given us quite the insight, and your reaction has been well received. Well, thank you so much. Abayomi Arabambi, he is the Factional Publicity Secretary for the Labour Party. Once again, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll take a short break at this point. When we come back, we look at the Imo governorship election as INEC, another arm of APC, Labour Party governorship candidate. After the break, stay with us. You're welcome back. The Labour Party candidate in the 2023 Imo State gubernatorial election, Atan Atruno, has characterized the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as an auxiliary of the governing All Progressive Congress Party, APC. In comments to journalists on Wednesday in Owerri, Senator Atruno responded to the Supreme Court's ruling from last Friday upholding Governor Hope Uzodinma's victory in the statewide election. The senator stated that Nigeria's democracy has become more theatrical than substantive.
I must express my deep concerns regarding the circumstances surrounding this judgment. These concerns are not born out of bitterness, but out of a steadfast commitment to the principles of justice and fairness that our democracy should uphold. It is worthy of mention that a dangerous and unhealthy political culture has been introduced by the ruling party, the APC, where the judiciary's pronouncements outweigh the people's votes should alarm every patriotic Nigerian. It has also become painfully evident that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has become another arm of the ruling party, the APC, turning our entire democratic institution into a mere circus. Unfortunately, the judiciary is not able to ensure INEC does the right thing in election petition matters such as this.
And now to security matters. To further decentralize law enforcement and enhance security, the National Economic Council has established a deadline for state governments to submit proposals for establishing state police forces. In an interview with News Central's Igbalani Omoni, analysts offer their perspectives on the opportunities and challenges of community-based policing models. Take a look.
Nigeria has struggled with rising crime rates in recent years, with the National Bureau of Statistics reporting a 30% increase in violent crime nationwide in 2022. At the local level, states like Lagos, Kano, Abuja and Rivers have seen a significant surge in kidnapping, armed robbery and cult-related violence. In response to these growing security concerns, the National Economic Council has set a deadline for state governments to submit plans for the creation of state policing units.
NEC consider the establishment of state police and asks states to make submissions for consideration. Today, all the states were supposed to submit for consideration of the NEC. Incidentally, 4 states couldn't submit, and for that purpose, NEC decided that those states must make their submissions on or before Monday next week.
The clamor for state policing has been loud and clear, with many arguing that a decentralized approach to law enforcement is essential to address the unique security challenges facing different regions.
Operationally speaking, state police will ensure the effective and efficient coordination of security operations in terms of response time and the deployment of officers with understanding of the local terrain.
And there's also the issue of, trust building, fostering closer ties and collaborations between, law enforcement and communities.
The benefit outweighs, the question of how governors may likely use, the state police. We have seen state government, even locally funding the federal police, across, states of the federation, and have not in any way abused it.
However, experts estimate that establishing and maintaining state policing units will require significant funding, amongst other factors.
It requires that the state would also have their own justice arrangement, custodial facilities, they will have courts, they will have all the entire value chain that supports the entire administrative or criminal justice procedure. All of these things are heavy, they are capital intensive, and these are the things that these governors are particularly interested in.
You cannot be discussing community policing and you've advanced it to such a stage, and then at the same time you want to have a conversation around state police. What would be the relationship between this? What would be the jurisdiction for each? That kind of conversation has not been had. Funding for this component, if we decide to move in that part, how will that be handled? So there, like I said, there are various moving parts, and I think the most important thing is the stakeholders to come together in one room, identify those moving parts, and then start addressing them one after the other.
The legal framework for state policing is also a subject of debate. The Nigerian constitution currently vests policing powers in the federal government, and any move towards state policing would require significant constitutional reforms. As the deadline for state submission approaches, many are uncertain about what the future holds. Will state policing bring about the desired improvement in security, or will it create new challenges? In Lagos for News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
President Bola Tinubu has praised the growing economic partnership between Africa and China, highlighting that trade between the two regions has reached an estimated $280 billion. According to President Tinubu, quote, despite the global challenges we faced, whether the economic or geographical, our partnership has stood firm, resolute, and offering a powerful example of what can be achieved through respect for sovereignty and non-interference, end quote. He went on to say, quote, one of the highlights of this collaboration has been the flourishing economic partnership between Africa and China and has grown exponentially, reaching an estimated $280 billion, end quote. Leaders from across Africa have gathered in Beijing, engaging in bilateral meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping. During the summit, the president of China announced over $50 billion in financing for Africa over the next 3 years and pledged to enhance cooperation in infrastructure and trade, marking one of China's most significant commitments since the pandemic.
A landmark of our relationship came in year 2000 with the establishment of the FOCA. This platform has been pivotal in strengthening our economic ties and reaffirming our commitment to mutual progress. Despite the global challenges we face, whether the economic or geographical, our partnership has stood firm, resolute, and offering a powerful example of what can be achieved through respect for sovereignty and non-interference. One of the highest highlights of this collaboration has been the flourishing economic partnership. Trade between Africa and China has grown exponentially, reaching an estimated $280 billion. These impressive figures speak volumes about the strength of our economic relationship and expanding integration of our market. I say, China's Belt and Road Initiative, aligned with the Africans' own infrastructure goals under African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
As a way of addressing humanitarian crisis and promoting acts of love through sharing, the United Nations in 2012 declared September 5th as the International Day of Charity. Although people do not need to wait for this special day to be charitable, it is a special day that reminds all of the need to show love through giving. And News Central's Chinwe Ugeli reports.
At a time when Nigerians are passing through economic instability, the chances that they can still engage in charitable activities are quite slim. However, some people, based on their personal convictions about life, say they don't need to have plenty in order to share.
In scarcely times, I normally give charity to people that come around me to beg. I also display some of my handwork and give some of my handwork to charity people that are in need, especially people that are in need of clothes.
Because as you are giving, God will always make a way for you. Last day, 4 years today, someone gave me 15,000 that I did not even expect. You understand me? And there's nothing in my house.
Although those in government use public funds to support vulnerable persons, it is not also rare that the government officials do charity work with personal resources.
Individually, in our all various places of abode and all that, we all do charity one way or the other. But at this time of harsh economic, realities that we are facing in Nigeria now, I'm encouraging more people, more individuals to help the less privileged in the society.
Wife of Governor Alex Oti Priscilla on this day extended acts of empathy to some indigent citizens in some parts of the state by offsetting the hospital bills of some indigent patients who had long been discharged but could not leave due to lack of funds.
We paid for about 6 patients who have been discharged but unable to leave because of their indebtedness to the hospital.
Some petty traders at the local markets also received support for their businesses. The fact that more people need to be captured in these sort of charity work was also brought to the fore as those who did not benefit from the largesse of the wife of the governor in the markets cry out.
The governor's wife came here this morning. We did not know. They announced it yesterday, and people that announced it, they write 50 names, and our names, people around all this area did not write their name.
It's unfair. We are here paying for it, paying tickets every day. So they are just teaching us. It's not good.
There are lots of people who hope to be remembered by people with the wherewithal, whether in government or not.
Please, ma, help me. Let God use you to help me.
A little act of charity every now and then will engender peace, unity, and a sense of accomplishment. In Omaha for News Central,
You're watching news now on News Central TV. Coming up, Burkina Faso drops ECOWAS logo from new passport. We'll bring you details after the break. Join us again. And the news continues in West Africa, where Burkina Faso has removed the ECOWAS logo from its new biometric passport, formalizing its withdrawal from the regional bloc. This decision, announced by Security Minister Mahamadou Sana, follows sanctions imposed by ECOWAS in response to military coups in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Sana confirmed that the ECOWAS logo is no longer on the passport, nor is there any mention of the organization. Since January, Burkina Faso has chosen to exit the body. The move reflects a deepening rift between these nations and ECOWAS, which has called for a return to constitutional governance. Meanwhile, ECOWAS chairman, Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, continues diplomatic efforts to reintegrate Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, emphasizing that dialogue remains open. And now to Senegal, where President Bassirou Diomaye Faye is set to dissolve the opposition-dominated parliament in the coming days and launch a vast anti-corruption campaign that could target dozens. Now, this is according to Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. Former President Macky Sall's supporters still hold the majority in the National Assembly, which was elected in 2022. Faye and Sonko need a parliamentary majority to implement the policies of change they promised on a platform of leftist Pan-Africanism and social justice. The National Assembly cannot be dissolved by the president until it has sat for at least 2 years. According to reports, Faye will be able to do that from September 12th, exactly 24 months after the parliament's first post-election session.
Nous avons entendu parler de motion de censure, faire tomber le gouvernement. Il n'y aura pas de motion de censure. Il y a des politiciens complètement dépassés par les événements, appuyés par leur presse. Mais je puis vous assurer qu'il n'y aura pas de motion de censure d'ici le 12 et que le 12, s'il plaît à Dieu, ces gens auront autre chose à faire que d'être députés.
You're still watching news now on News Central TV. Still ahead. 4 killed as police arrest a 14-year-old student shooter in Georgia, USA. We'll bring you details after the break. Stay right there. Police say 4 people have been killed after a shooting incident at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, United States on Wednesday. According to the director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Chris Jose, the deceased were 2 students and 2 teachers. The perpetrator of the shooting has been identified as a 14-year-old student and is currently in custody.
The shooter is in custody. His name is Colt. That's C-O-L-T Gray. He is a 14-year-old student here at the school, G-R-A-Y. He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder, and he will be tried as an adult. There are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school.
In the meantime, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris on Wednesday implored Americans to bring a halt to the epidemic of gun violence plaguing the United States after a mass shooting at a Georgia high school left 4 people dead. The U.S. Vice President, speaking at a rally in New Hampshire, also reiterated a call for an assault weapons ban, a position widely opposed by Republicans, and support for the further tightening of U.S. gun safety laws.
That every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is, we've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. You know, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way.
To unpack this, we're joined by our international correspondent, Hafia Hagen. Hafia, tell me, what's the latest from this scene?
Well, we have the names of the 4 victims who died in that gun attack, and they are Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angelo. They were 2 14-year-old students, and the 2 teachers were Richard Aspinwall and Christina Irimi. They are the 4 people who died in that attack. Now, 9 others were injured, and they are expected to make a full recovery. Now, Colt Gray, that's the 14-year-old high school student who is the perpetrator of this attack. Now, he was transferred to juvenile detention overnight. He is going to be tried as an adult, but he is in juvenile custody at the moment. He's at Gainesville Youth Detention Center, and he is going to make his first court appearance tomorrow. That's Friday, so it will be a virtual court appearance, and we have no idea on the timings of that yet. Now, the football field that you see here in these pictures, there was supposed to be a football game that was scheduled to take place at the high school in Windsor, scheduled to take place tomorrow evening. That football game has now been cancelled as well. That was the scenes on the pitch there where you saw students forming a prayer circle after this terrible attack took place.
So I have to ask, prayer circles are not going to solve the problem of gun violence, which is now a very huge issue in the U.S. This attack will be what number? And we're just in the last quarter of the year, one of the deadliest we've seen. But how would this play out in the election cycle?
You're absolutely right, Judith, in saying that it's way too late for prayer circles. This is the 45th school shooting this year, and it is the most deadly as well. Look, you heard Kamala Harris, the Vice President, and of course the Democratic presidential candidate, talking there about the senseless gun violence, the epidemic of gun violence in the United States, not just in schools, you know, across the country generally. And what can be done to solve this? What can be done to stop it? About the use and selling of assault weapons. It's thought to be an assault rifle, an AR-15, that was used in this particular attack. And for a long time, people have said that those particular weapons should be banned because of the rapid fire and the rapid way that they can deploy bullets and therefore kill people. And this is going to play out hugely in this election cycle. Traditionally, the GOP, the Republicans, have been very pro-guns, pro that amendment that allows people to carry guns, whereas the Democrats have been more moderate on that and do want to see certain weapons banned and outlawed. And I think actually in the coming days, and especially in the debate that's going to be happening on ABC News September 10th, we will see both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump talking about the issue of gun violence, probably talking about the shooting and where they stand on the decisions to ban certain weapons or to try and repeal the gun laws somewhat, to try and get this epidemic of gun violence under control.
Well, let's wait to see whether Trump is going to wiggle his way out of that debate and how he's going to answer that question. But hey, Afia, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on. There's a widespread agreement that Nigeria's insurance industry needs a major boost to be competitive since the industry was last recapitalized in 2007. Significant increases in minimum capital requirements are outlined in the Senate's Nigeria Insurance Industry Reform Bill 2024 for a number of insurance categories. Concerns have been raised meanwhile over the possible effects of these adjustments, particularly the possibility of entrance hurdles and increased influence for foreign investors. Do these worries outweigh the advantages of recapitalizing Nigeria's insurance industry? Earlier today on Business Edge, Peter Ofyong, the Assistant General Manager at Scribe & Co., joined us and shared his personal thoughts. Take a look.
The opinions I expressed here are purely my opinions. They do not represent the opinion of the company I work with. To increase the capital from the 2 billion, the 5 billion, and the 10 billion to what we now have 15 billion, 25 billion, 45 billion proposed in the Act. And why I say it is needless is because you're already transitioning to a risk-based regulation. The new Act or the new bill proposes a risk-based regulation. And if you're dealing with a risk-based regulation, you do not need a fixed capital. So having a fixed capital and having risk-based at the same time, trying to increase the capital and then dealing with risk-based really does not make, it's not logical. And also, the amount that we're looking at is really outrageous because if you look at the amount being proposed, it will make Nigeria the most expensive country in the world to have an insurance company. And just to put that in perspective,
in our sports, in an emphatic turnaround from their opening defeats, the Junior Tigress delivered a commanding performance to defeat Zimbabwe 107-30 in their latest match at the ongoing Under-18 Afrobasket in South Africa. Leading the charge for the Junior Tigress was Idumabo Begi, who delivered a standout performance with 20 points, 10 steals and 7 assists. Her aggressive play and sharp decision-making were instrumental in dismantling Zimbabwe's defense. Momolua Towogbade was another key player, contributing 19 points, 7 rebounds, 6 steals and 4 assists. Her all-around game on both ends of the court were pivotal in securing the victory. This decisive win not only boosts the Junior Tigress's confidence, but also sets a strong foundation as they prepare for their next match against Uganda. The Brave Warriors midfielder Kama Baliat is set for his international comeback this week after being included in Zimbabwe's squad for their opening 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Kenya on Friday. It will be the 34-year-old Baliat's first outing for the Warriors since quitting the national team after the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Baliat, formerly at Ajax Cape Town, Mamelodi Sundown and Gazia Chiefs, spent 7 months without playing football after being released by Chiefs just over 1 year ago, but then revived his career in Zimbabwe with Yara Stars. Now, he has been persuaded out of retirement by new Zimbabwe coach Michael Nees and is expected to line up in the Group J clash, which will be played in Kampala, Uganda. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima has summoned Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and Group Managing Director of NNPCL over petrol price hike. Elder statesman Edwin has called for arrest of FCT Minister Nyesom Wike over threat to set fire to states governed by PDP governors. We also told you that Burkina Faso has dropped ECOWAS logo from new passport. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422 Star Times channel 274, Apple TV, or just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, Atibi.